Dame Lillard here, and you're listening to the Blazers Balcony with Brooke, Olzendam, and Casey Holdahl.
Greetings, Blazer fans, and welcome to the Blazers Balcony presented by Spirit Mountain Casino. Episode 160 of the Blazers Balcony presented by Spirit Mountain Casino. I am Casey Holdahl. I'm joined by my co-host and friend from her palatial estate in West Portland.
No!
I'm in North
West.
Portland. I know. I didn't write it down. Brooke Olzendam. That's the important part. Brookie, how you doing?
I'm good. You've been killing it lately with that too.
I know. Well, I sometimes I just don't got it.
You know, you always got it. No, I'm good. I'm good. Back to work again. Really excited about that.
Yeah.
Casey, again, one last hurrah for Casey. I want to say again, thank you for filling in. But this has been great to be back to work. Been so nice to see all the fans. The last couple games, the fans been amazing. Just coming up and chatting, and I just want to say thank you to all of them, and thank you to you, Casey, for filling in and doing a fantastic job. And it's just been good to be back. Like who was I saying? I was saying this to someone. Like it kind of felt like the first day of school.
Sure.
You know, like the jitters. I had jitters. Like who has jitters when you've been doing this for this long? But yeah, it was great to be back, and everyone's been wonderful. So yeah, I've been feeling great, and I get to go on the road trip. I'm pleased about that. So I'm trying to get back into my normalcy.
Yeah, well, one, I'm really glad you're back too. One, because you're my friend and I'm glad you're back. And two, like it was fun. I enjoyed filling in for you, but it's hard work. And like I had mentioned on the podcast before, I wish I'd paid just a little closer attention to what you do, or at least if I had known a little bit in advance, then maybe I could have paid a little more attention. But either way, I appreciated all the support I got to. People were very kind about it. Like I didn't get any like, how dare you, and why are you on my TV right now? So I appreciate people at least being quiet about their criticisms of me, and also you really helped me a lot too. Greg, Kyle, Russ all helped a great deal as well. So thank you to everybody. But really good to have you back, Brookie. And yes, I'm very glad you're going on this next trip, because I was already like, I can't. If I got to do this again on another trip, like I don't.
You're going to have to pack another suit.
Well, and so the other thing too is I only packed 2 suits, and then I have this other suit jacket that I like that I always think I can wear with other pants as like a suit separate, and it never comes together. And I always convince myself every single time, this is going to be the time that I'm going to make it work. And so I took 3 out there. I ended up having to change up because it never worked. It never looked the way I wanted it to. So yeah, but I mean, it was actually nice to dress up a little bit again. Like it took to like the 3rd game for the players to be like, what are you doing? Why are you wearing a tie? And it was all the same game, actually. Like everyone like noticed it on the 3rd game, and I was like, yeah, you know, I've been doing this the first 2 games too, guys, but you know, that's fine. But
you know what's funny is what was I listening to? Or I forget. Oh, okay. Well, was it on the call? I can't remember, but I love the fact that you and Kevin Calabro found each other at the washing machine.
Yes, at the laundromat in the Piedmont Park area of Atlanta. Yeah, so I had already gone into the trip planning that I was going to do a load of laundry, because that's the thing too. When you're gone for 10 days, like you can pack a regular amount of stuff, you can do 1 load of laundry. But that can be difficult, particularly the places we stay at. Like they're usually pretty nice, and usually there's not a whole lot of laundromats around, and the cost of doing laundry at hotels is ridiculous. Like it's like it should be illegal what they try to charge you to do laundry at a hotel. Like it's literally like $20 to wash a shirt, which is like, it's
just because of the easy manner in which.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they expect that if you're paying whatever they're paying for the room, that you can afford to pay $20 to get your shirt washed, but I can't afford that. So I went out and found a laundromat, which was not easy to do, by the way, too. Like you had to, like, when you search for laundry, like it gives you a lot of like drop your clothes off here and then pay them and then get them back. And so I did finally find a laundromat, and it was so funny because literally, like, I turned my back to put my stuff in the wash machine. I turn around and there's Kevin, like, hey Casey, how's it going? Like I was like, what, did you follow me here? He's like, no, my clothes are already in the wash machine. So yeah, so it was actually nice. We had a nice little day together after that too. Like we went on a walk, like we went and had lunch together. We walked a little bit around after that. So it was
why he said it on the broadcast last night. And then he joked that you guys then sat around and read Home and Garden magazine.
Yes, yeah, exactly. We did. Yeah.
That's right. He actually said it on the broadcast. That's where it was.
And it's well, I won't get into that, but the neighborhood we stay in Atlanta it's a nice neighborhood, and yeah. It was It was fun to hang out with Kevin in that neighborhood.
So
So
cute.
yeah,
I
good
love
times.
that for you too.
Well, we are home at least for a couple more days here before we head out, as Brooke mentioned, for another 5-game trip, the last extended road trip of the season for the Portland Trail Blazers. And the 3 games prior to leaving for that road trip, a 3-game homestand for the Trailblazers, got off to a pretty good start with the Trailblazers on Sunday, beating the Pacers 131-111 on Sunday at Moda Center. As I mentioned, kind of the top line story for that one, Brookie, the play of Scoot Henderson. I think Scoot had a bit of a tough road trip. I don't think that's necessarily kind of a secret or anything that Scoot would deny. It was he just had kind of a rough go of it. He looked good sometimes and struggled at other times, and got back to Moda Center and put up absolutely the best game of his season and one of the best games of his career. 28 points, 6 assists, and no turnovers for Scoot Henderson in that victory. As I mentioned, 131-111 versus the Indiana Pacers. 21 points apiece as well for both Jeremy Grant and Drew Holiday, who, as we talked about on the last show, Brooke, has been fantastic through this stretch. Same with Drew, Rob, Jeremy. I feel like all those guys, particularly with Denny Avdia having been out, really kind of stepped their game up on that road trip. They ended up 2-3 on the trip. Would have been nice to get that game versus the Rockets. Blazers just faltered down the stretch in that one, and kind of familiar to the game last night as well, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But so Brooke, team gets back, play the Pacers, and again are able to, I think it was maybe tied at the half, and then the Blazers really kind of took off in the second half. So really nice to get back home and get a win, and a comfortable win as well, and a win where, again, some of the guys who maybe hadn't played as well as they would have liked in previous games played really well in that game. Really great to see Scoot come out and have a great performance in that one, because, again, he's kind of taken some heat for that road trip. And I mean, on one hand, it's a time of season where you're hoping everyone's playing well. So you kind of, you get fans being a little, upset and like, what's going on here? But also the guy's, he missed 3/4 of the season, and he's just now getting back into the swing of things. It's hard to kind of jump back in when everyone is already kind of in the flow and in rhythm as well. So it was really great to see Scoot play that well, and really great for the Blazers to get that homestand off with a win, Brooke.
No, it was awesome. I was really happy for Scoot. It was funny because, he's on the walk-off interview, he said, everyone just keeps telling me to be myself, be myself, be myself. And so I went out there and I was just myself. And me, I know you just mentioned that, he'd had a rough go of it, but I don't. I try to make things into a positive, especially after an amazing, performance. I'm not going to be like, how did Phil get out of a funk? That's not how I ask questions. And especially in that situation. So I just said to him, because he has said this to me many times before, that he just always trusts his shot. And no matter, highs or lows, whatever. And I was like, this really paid off for you. And he had a great answer to that. So you just really want to uplift people in that moment where they needed this moment, and just let's just keep it high, keep it positive. And then he had all the guys came up to him, and he always, I mentioned it too, he always daps every single player up before they go into the locker room. So he had a few guys come up, and then he had a really adorable dance with Blake Wesley, who's been the story of the week for me, Blake Wesley and his personality, which we can get into with the on-set thing as well. But it was just a feel-good moment. And I was rooting for him, I was rooting for him, well, let's go, Scoot. And then when he just started rolling, I'm like, oh my gosh. And then he kind of picked up where he left off against Charlotte as well. And so you got to maybe get that one game under your belt, and that you're like, okay, I still, I got this. I knew I had it all along, but now I feel it. This is what it feels like. So I was really pleased for him. And we're getting really consistent play, as you just mentioned, from the vets, which at this point of the season, that's when you want your vets, and you need them to kind of say, okay, we've talked about this before, sense of urgency. If we're going to get to this 10 spot, maybe even 9, who knows? This is the time we got to put the pedal to the metal. And I know we're going to talk about the Charlotte game, which was just one of the weirder games to me, especially in the last few minutes. I know I'm seeing your face. I know it was just confusing at times, and there was so much stoppage of play, and which way is this call going to go? I'm not blaming calls, but it was just a weird speed and pace. I didn't like it. But again, they played very well for the most part. They were, had a hefty lead. Unfortunately, Charlotte's a good team. They're a good team. They have a lot of weapons. But down the stretch, it was just unfortunate. I got this gut feeling I don't know what it is. Like sometimes I get it. I'm like, oh, I don't know. Like I usually am very positive, but I had this gut feeling that something was going to go wrong down the stretch. I hate to say that out loud, but I did. And
I said before when the Hornets were coming back at the end of the first half, I even turned to someone and said, we're losing this game. And and I am not I do let negativity kind of take too large of a space in me sometimes, but that wasn't negativity. Like I was just watching the flow of the game and it was just like, I don't like the direction that this is going. But I did want to mention one thing before we move on to the Hornets game though, Brooke, because you're exactly right about Scoot. And I thought he had some really interesting comments because to your point about like, did you need this performance or whatever? Scoot kind of got asked that. Then basically the gist was like, it must have felt good to like have a really good performance after a rough road trip. And Scoot was basically like, look, I mean, like I get what you're saying, but like, no, it's not like, because I don't view my game to game play that way. Like, it's like, I believe in myself. I believe in what I'm doing. And there's going to be highs and there's going to be lows, but like I just try to stay like in the middle and be positive about it. And so the idea that like, I didn't have a couple of great games, like that doesn't make me feel better about having a good game tonight. I mean, I'm glad I had a good game because we won, but it doesn't really affect me that way. And I even followed Scoot out of the locker room afterwards, and I was like, Scoot, I was like, I appreciate what you're saying, man, because like a lot of guys will say, like I'm the same guy from one game to the other, and performances come and go, but like I'm always the same guy. And I'm like, a lot of guys say that, and a lot of times it's not true. Like I can see it on guys, and I, for whatever reason, like I actually kind of made a point of like watching Scoot in the locker room on this road trip, and he's exactly right. Like it wasn't like he was like fist pumping and like giving high fives when the team was losing or anything, but like he was always like calm and collected and like seemed to have the appropriate amount of enthusiasm and like disappointment when the team wasn't playing especially well. And so I was like, I really appreciate Scoot that like you actually like that is the way you conduct yourself. Like you're not someone that's just like saying that because it's like that's what I'm supposed to say. It's like that is how you view things, and that's how I've seen you act. And so like I just think there's something really admirable about that, that like you can try to conduct yourself in a particular way and stick to it, even when you're not playing especially well, or even when you're playing great, like it seems like he is the same guy from night to night. And so for him to kind of talk about that and be like, yeah, no, I always want to play well, but like, I'm not necessarily like down in the dumps when I'm not playing well. And I'm not like in the clouds when my shot is falling I think that's just a good place for a young player to be.
No, I thought the same thing. So we played his post game when you're talking about in the post game show, his remarks in the interview. And I said to Michael, I'm like, he's not going to answer this the way they want him to answer this. And
I started laughing too. Like, I was like, yeah, good for you.
No, I mean, we know him, and I'm like, not to take away from anyone who was asking questions, because they were trying to probably write a story or like, make this thing. But I just know Scoot so well. I was like, he's not going to do it, guys. He's not going to do it. You can keep asking a different version of the same question. It's not going to happen. And I said that to Michael last time. That's funny that you said that. But that's because Scoot is Scoot. Like it's who he is. And he's not a BSer, but he's truly like that. You're right. Like he is the same demeanor. I really don't think he gets in his head. He just is getting into a rhythm. And I mean, maybe a little bit, who knows, but he's not going to give you all of that. He's not going to tell you any, that's not who he is. So it was just so interesting that you just said that. I'm just nodding to you saying like, oh my gosh, I was thinking the same thing when I was watching it last night. But yeah, I was so happy for him in that game. And that was a really great win. It was nice. It was like a 20-point win. So it was kind of like, you can sit back and enjoy it a little while. But yeah, it was great. And I do think that, can we move to the Charlotte game or no?
Yeah, well, I did want to say too, the one of the nice things about that game, being a bit of a blowout, was we got to hear Lamar's comments about Punch the Monkey, which
oh my gosh,
I'm glad that it seems like Punch is okay now, because like I couldn't deal with it anymore. Like it was literally, like, I'm not joking. Like I was like, I can't see any more Punch content. Like it is really bumming me out. Like it's absolutely affecting my mental health right now. So one, I guess I guess it's kind of the way of the world that once it becomes less of a sad story, people don't pay as much attention to it. But like I'm glad it turned out the way it did because I couldn't deal with any more punch stuff. It was
Well,
really
you are an
bothering me.
animal lover. We know this. I like them, but I'm not as like over the top as not even say you're not over the top. You just love animals. That's
Yeah, I'm a
who you
little
are.
over the top. I think that's fair.
Okay, you're a little over the top.
Yeah.
I mean, I love them all. Like I love specific. Like I love dogs. Again, not as much as you, but and sea otters. And then with the rest of the animals, it's okay, it's fine. But I was also bothered by punch, but I knew that it would deep down bother you. Like this would be something that you would lay in bed at night thinking about. So I am glad to know that punch has been. Isn't he kind of been like taken in by the?
Yes, the last I saw was that he had finally kind of been integrated in a little bit to the monkey community there, wherever he's at in Japan.
Where is the mom, by the way? Is she there and she just doesn't talk to him, or is she not?
I think he was abandoned. Yeah, so I don't know if she's in that area still or not. Yeah, I don't.
I need a little more. I need some more answers. But you know what I do love? My favorite thing about this story, which it's a sad story, but I think it's gotten better, is just so when my son was sick last week, very sick. And when when you're a kid and you're sick, he could clung to me. Like he could not get closer to me, which is not great when you're like, I'm thinking, well, this kid's sick, but I still loved it because he was just like the cuddle bug of the century. But it reminded me, like I said, that kid was on me like Punch on the Zookeeper. How cute are they? They're like when he jumps up on his leg and then he goes up on his shoulder and then he's like gonna he thinks about putting him down. He's like, just come inside with me. Just come. And he just brings him in his office. I don't know what happens after that, but yeah, he gets some time with his zookeeper. He is so cute. But that is my favorite part when he jumps on his leg.
Yeah, no, that's a good monkey. Yeah.
But what's funny is that when you watch it, obviously, so Lamar, God bless him, tries to ask Denny if he knows who Punch is.
Oh, I didn't know that he tried to ask Denny. Okay.
By his first the table, and he's like, "You know about Punch, right?" And Denny's like, "What?"
No,
you did not know.
No, I would have been shocked if Denny knew about Punch.
Yeah,
so.
And Calabro didn't know either. So it was one of the.
I'd have been triple shocked if Calabro knew about Punch. So
everything Kevin knows about pop culture, he's learned from me or Lamar. I'm just telling you that right now. But it kind of reminded me of that rant that Lamar went on a couple of years ago about the Grinch.
Of course, yeah.
And so I was like, this is Grinch part 2, but it's about Punch. Because Lamar did not care that Kevin didn't know. Didn't care that Denny didn't know. He was going to tell the story and to the end. And where was I? I wish I could have popped in because I obviously know about Punch. But it was kind of Lamar's moment. I didn't need to pop in. And he did the whole thing and every little detail. And Kevin's like, oh. Really?
Yeah. It's a way better bit if they don't know anything about it, to be perfectly honest. And then
so shout out to Lamar. Kevin goes, well, what's this guy's name? He's like, Punch. I've been telling you. It was so funny.
He's like, oh, his name is Punch, not he was getting punched. Okay, now I understand it. So yeah, well, you're doing great work out there, Lamar. We appreciate your Punch interest. But yeah, now moving on to other things that make me sad. The Portland Trailblazers losing to the Hornets 103-101 Tuesday night at Moda Center in a game that, particularly after the way the game went in Charlotte. Really hoping the Blazers were able to get that one, have a very good first half, go up by as many as 19 points, if I'm not mistaken. Then throughout the second half, the Hornets just making progress. As Brooke mentions, a lot of kind of stoppages and reviews and, reviews the Blazers won, but then they still, there was 2 kick-out reviews on offensive fouls or on fouls on three-pointers. And then Rob blocked a shot, and then that was reviewed, and it was a block, but then the layup counted, so it wasn't an and one. And then there was one where Diabate put his arm through the rim, so they got 2 points, but then no foul. Long story short,
it was confusing.
It was kind of a weird game. Blazers shoot a better percentage from both the field and from 3 in that game, but they get out-rebounded just like was the case in Charlotte. They shoot fewer free throws, and because of those rebounds, the Hornets have a lot more second chance points, which is kind of the Blazers' whole thing is second chance points, are one of the best second chance points teams in the NBA and in the NBA over the last couple seasons, I guess. But the Hornets were the ones that were able to get the second chance points on Tuesday. I keep wanting to say it's Wednesday. Today's Wednesday. And so the Blazers end up losing that game 103-101. They have a chance to at least tie it with an inbound, but the inbound goes out of bounds. Tamani throws it out of bounds. Denny trips. They don't even get a shot attempt. Scoot takes a desperation three at the end that does go in to get McDonald's, but no victory. And so
it's
just
crazy. I was sorry, didn't mean to interrupt, but what's
no,
funny
please
about
do.
that, I was walking back because at that point it was pretty not feasible to win the game, so I started to walk up to the set, and we usually either go up the stairs after like a win because I do the interview and then run up the stairs. But when we go earlier than that, I go to the back and go up the stairs the back way. So we're walking through like by the concessions on the lower level, and I just hear the place go nuts. And I was like, oh, I got really nervous. And then and then I looked at, there was a TV by the popcorn place. And I didn't even get to see that play, but it was like scared me to death because the whole place went nuts. And I was like, do we need to go back?
Yeah. Was there a 5-point play? Do I need to interview somebody now for the post game? So yeah,
that's my biggest fear is that's going to happen where I'm like, okay, this one's over. And I'm going to start walking up and then we win. And anyways, it gave me the fear of God in myself, so I didn't even see that play.
Yeah. And just again, that's one of those ones too, where, if they win that game, like they got a lot of other winnable games on this trip. They won the Pacer game as well. So then you maybe think you can kind of string together a few wins. But yeah, as you mentioned, like that Hornets team, they're much improved. They're well coached, but like they shot 38% from the field and 36% from three. The Blazers shoot 42% from the field and 38% from three and lose. You don't often shoot better percentages and lose like that, though. They did shoot, how many fewer free throws did they get? They made 6 fewer free throws, and that was the difference in that one. You hold LaMelo Ball to a very reasonable stat line. You hold Con Knipple to a reasonable stat line. Bridges as well. Brandon Miller at 23, but they got a lot of production from their bench. 13 points from Kyle Brenner. 11 points from James. Again, that's one of those games where you just
weird.
You really had a good chance to win that one. And as I texted you, Brooke, I don't get mad about losses really anymore. I've been doing this long enough. It's a long season. You kind of, at a certain point you gotta develop a callus and kind of move on from it, because if you're getting mad all the time when a team loses, it's just a crappy way to go through life. But that one made me mad. I was mad that we lost that game. It was there for the taking. I think it's a game where, I think it would show that they're kind of building towards something, and it's a team that's around them in the standings, even though it's in the East. It still feels like okay, we're about even with this team. We're at home. They beat us in their house, but now we're going to get them in our house. And, the fact that, they were up by, again, as many as 19 in the first half, 13 in the second half, and ended up losing that one, even though they shot better. I can see
you're getting mad again.
Yeah, I am getting mad again. But I'm not going to let myself do it, Brooke. We're moving on. We're moving on.
Yeah, no, it was rough. Towards the end, I'm standing there ready. Got my pen, my read for Bright Side Windows. You could get yourself amped up for this. And so I'm thinking, is this going to be I was thinking I wanted to interview Rob Will because he came in and really had a huge impact in the fourth quarter. So
just I'm thinking blocking everything too right now for Rob. That block where he went to contest the shot, landed, and then went back up and blocked it. It's how do you do that?
Well, it's funny because Dame was on with Kevin and Lamar,
right? Yeah,
and he brought that up. He said Rob Will is the fastest jumper for a big man that he's ever seen. He can jump quickly and high for a big man. And I was like, that's so true. And then it's all I could notice. All I was looking at. But anyways, I was thinking Rob was going to be maybe the walk-off, or unless it came down to a game winner. But even though I had that gut feeling, I was really planning for, you got to plan for him. So when those last few weird plays happened, it was just, I feel you when you say you're mad, because it was like a gut punch. It didn't have to happen that way. It shouldn't have happened that way. So I totally understand. But it was a tough one. But hopefully, it was a good game up until the end. So maybe they can take some things from it. But man, those last couple plays were like, no, no, no. That's why I think I actually said it out loud, like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a tough one.
When Tamani passed the ball out of bounds, I instinctively got up and started walking out of the building. Like that's how mad I was. I got up and I just like turned around, and I got like 3 steps, and I was like, "Game's not over, Casey." Like, and also, where are you going anyways? Like, you still got to work. But yeah, like, that was like,
yeah,
I was upset about that one.
Yeah,
and also too because the Warriors also lost. So if you had won that game, you pick up a half game on the Warriors who lost as well. So like. Yeah, and because you're right, Brooke. Like they're playing some decent basketball right now, and there was definitely some positives to take out of that game. But it is also the time of the season where it's like, look, we got to win these games, guys. Yeah, we played well and we did some good things. Like that's cool, but we're trying to move up a little bit here, and like maybe even getting a home play-in game, like. To give yourselves a chance to get into the playoffs, like that would be super helpful if you could get into 9th rather than 10th, let alone into 8th rather than 9th. So, the fact that they had an opportunity to do that if they had gotten that win and then they didn't get it, that just kind of piles on the frustration.
I really do feel like, and you mentioned it really came down to rebounding. It really did.
No, it was rebounding. And I mean, the reason I remember is because since I was filling in for you, it was something that Thiago had mentioned in the Hawks game. He was like, yeah, we can't get out rebounded like we did versus the Hornets. Like that's, again, the Blazers offensive rebounds, second chance points. That's really one of like the hallmarks of this team, and the way that they're able to make up for not necessarily shooting a great 3-point percentage and turning the ball over more than you'd like. Those are the ways that they're able to steal themselves from those mistakes. But then when they don't do that either, it just makes it very difficult for them to get wins, as we saw Tuesday versus the Hornets. So Trailblazers moving on from that one. I will say real fast too, though, that Deni Avdija being back in the lineup has been great. Brooke, obviously, getting Deni back out there increases Portland's chances considerably, and it seems like he's looking fairly healthy out there, which is a great sign.
He's been banged around, and I get nervous, like we talked
about.
Yeah,
no, I mean, he had a couple plays in that game where I was like, get up, Deni, get up. And yeah, he seemed like he was okay. And the Blazers injury report for that game versus the Hornets, Dame and Shaedon, and that was it. Like, and that's as clean of an injury report as we've had in a year, I would say. So, in fact, probably even longer than that. So at least they're getting healthy now, with a chance to hit the road here. They play the Utah Jazz on Friday before heading out 4 or 5 games versus the 76ers, Nets, Pacers, Timberwolves, finishing off with the Nuggets. So a big trip for the Blazers, a chance to, again, maybe stack some wins here if they're able to take care of business. You imagine that they're probably going to be favored in at least the first, well, I don't know, but the Sixers have had some injuries, so I'm not entirely sure what they've been doing as of late. But other than that, teams that, have not been playing especially well. So a chance to go out on the road and build a little momentum. And again, give yourself a chance to maybe move up in that race for the play-in, because, that's something the organization has talked about a lot, is kind of getting ready for the postseason, whether that's in the play-in and then hopefully maybe the playoffs. Yet to be seen, but a chance to go out and hopefully get a few wins, but they'll need to play well on Friday versus the Jazz, who did just beat the Warriors. So, and the Warriors going to be without Steph Curry for a little bit longer, so that's another opportunity for the Trailblazers. But they gotta take care of their end of that bargain, and they weren't necessarily able to do that versus the Hornets. They're going to need to do it versus the Jazz, and a few more times on this trip, they're going to give themselves any chance of getting out of the 10th spot. They basically can't fall out of 10th at this point. Like, things would have to go really sideways. I think they're 7 games up on the Grizzlies right now in 11th, but it'd be nice if they can move up, and they got some games here where conceivably they should be able to win those games and potentially move up. So hopefully, the game on Friday is a start to that, Brooke.
Yeah, it's an interesting road trip. Start, like as you mentioned, with Philly, and then I believe we're busing to Brooklyn.
We are busing, yeah.
Which I always enjoy the busing. I do
too. It makes perfect sense too. Like if you're in Philadelphia, it's kind of a ways to the airport. We usually fly into Newark. And then from Newark into Manhattan, that's a bit of a bus ride as well. So like, and then you're gonna have to get on a bus anyways, and
Might as well.
so you might as well just be on the bus the whole time. So
Yeah, no, it's kind of like a fun, like it feels like a field trip, like when you're a kid.
absolutely.
No, I think it's a great opportunity, right? To steal some on the road. I even though that game against Charlotte was a tough pill to swallow, things have felt pretty good. I know the last road trip there were a couple they would have rather won as well, obviously, but the team dynamic still is high. The chemistry, there's still these guys like bounce back. It's not like they dwell on things. I've noticed that. There have been a couple maybe times at the early in the season there were a couple of like moments where they had a team meeting or whatever, but right now like they're good. They wish they would have gotten that game, but they put it in the back burner. Like it's like, okay, moving on. So I just get a feeling that like this could be a huge opportunity to snag some wins and on the road too. It's like, I don't know, Tiago's talked about it with me before where, it's just you guys against the world, right? Like, so you kind of go out and say, let's get like, we can win this game. Let's go win this game. And you're away from your family, which you don't love, but at the same time, then you just have a hyper focus on the team and your teammates and what the goal at hand is. So I think road wins for this team in particular, I think are very plausible, especially on this road trip.
Well, yes, as I mentioned, the Utah Jazz on Friday, and then leading into that 5-game road trip. So hopefully a chance for the Trailblazers to, again, build a little momentum there. And also, I checked too, Brooke, we're staying at a different hotel this time in New York. We're not staying in Nobat. We're staying back to the old place. So, which makes sense. It's closer to Brooklyn, I think. So.
Oh, good. That sounds nice.
I like the other hotel though too. It was nice.
Does it have a bathtub?
I don't. Do those ones have bathtubs? Yes, that's like if they have like the freestanding like soup bowl style bathtubs.
The only thing I really care about, to be honest, is if it has a bathtub.
I think I've probably taken like maybe 2 baths the entire time I've traveled with the team. So
really,
yeah, well, I just lay in the shower like and the water's running. Like I think a good shower lay is better than laying in the tub because in the tub, you're in tepid water that is getting cooler the entire time. Whereas on the shower, you are getting a massage and it's staying the same temperature the entire time. It's a better experience.
It's not, the bath isn't necessarily like I that I approve of a lay down shower always. That's my favorite. But like just when I just want to relax, like it's more about the mental aspect of it. Like if I just want to get warm and feel good, like physically, yes, lay down shower. But if I just kind of want to zen, relax, then I like the bathtub. So it depends on the mood,
It is a little more frenetic. Yeah, that is true. The laying down in the shower and yeah, I guess the tub is a little more like soothing and relaxing. But again, I like the action of the shower too. I'm already planning out like since the game is second night of a back-to-back, I've already like plotted out my food attempts, though like I can't exercise right now because my knee hurts, and also like my knee hurts even when I walk now. So like walking around like I usually would in New York, like I don't know how it's going to go for me, Brooke. I'm getting old.
If you want me to go now that I have no leg pain, if you'd like me to go get your snacks, I'd be happy to.
Well, happy to. I don't know if I'd say that, but
depends on how close.
Depending on the temperature outside as well. Do not let Brooke fool you, folks. If it is below 50 degrees, Brooke is not walking anywhere, and that's even. I'm giving you a little more credit there too. You put on a jacket to go out in 50 degrees. Anything other than that, it's no. Brooke is Brooke's getting a car. Yeah,
it's the truth. We've done this many times. You're like, should we walk? I'm like, but you did get me to walk to the movie.
I did, yeah, and again with your leg also not feeling great too. So I definitely owe you for that one, Brooke. That was not great on my half. You mentioned Damian Lillard being on the broadcast. I just wanted to talk a little more about that. Particularly, I thought it was interesting that Dame was on when Bam Adebayo, obviously kind of the talk of the NBA today, Bam Adebayo putting up 83 points, second most points ever in an NBA game, surpassing Kobe Bryant's 81. Dame and Bam are very close, and I saw the Dame even talked about it a little bit on the broadcast. So nice to see Dame get out there and flex some of his broadcasting muscles a little bit, joining you guys. I'm glad you guys all got a photo together too as well. I was like, oh, good. I'm glad that Brooke ran over there and got a part of the photo as well. So
I just heard in my ear, can you get to the scores table? I was like, oh, why? I was like, okay. And I sprinted over there. I was like, what's happening? And then we got our picture. That was very cute. But he was really good. No surprise. I mean, Dame's always so great.
An elite talker. Obviously an all-time player, but that guy can That guy can talk too.
But not only that, like it's hard to explain when you guys know, you see him. He's relaxed and very funny, but it's so smooth. Like he's not even, he's not like trying to make a joke, Like Evan Turner knows he's funny and will say something that he knows will make people laugh. Dame just says whatever he feels, and it just happens to be funny because it's just his delivery. And so, yes, they talked about Bam, and the first thing he said was, "Man, I taught that guy everything he knows.
Yeah.
I taught him everything he knows." And then he goes, "I have a story about this when they were on the Olympic team, right? They were like, I don't know, practicing or just chatting, whatever." And Bam said to him, he's like, "You know what? I want to be like next season. I want to be average 30 points or more." Like, and Dame was like, he started laughing. He's like, "You think you're going to do that?" He's like, you're not, that's not what you do. You're not a scorer. He's like, and the irony is, the guy just got 83, but he was saying, just kind of telling him like, it's not your game to go out and average 30, even though he is averaging 32 this year, I believe. So he kind of gave him a little, grief for that, like just being funny. And then the last part, which I loved, he's like, "I think this might all be about Asia Wilson."
Yeah,
who's about his girlfriend, who's the best player in the WNBA, I would say. And he's like, "She's working him out. She's working him out. That's what's going on." So it was really funny for him to be talking about. Obviously, it's all love. He was just being funny, but that was incredible. There's a guy named a kid named Eli that hangs out at the set all game long. And we love him. He has a shirt that says, "I love Brooke and Michael." He's a staple on our show. He's amazing. And he kept running up to us in pregame and yelling at us what Bam had at that point. He's like, "He's got 70. And we're like, "What?" And even Michael's like, "Bam's got 70. I'm like, "What?" And so at every break, we're like, what's he got now? Because we couldn't watch. We were doing the pregame show. But yeah, it was like a whole thing. And he'd run up and be like, he's been to the line 40 times. What? So then to go back and like listen to it and hear all about it is, and I know everyone has at this point seems to have an opinion about it. And it's either for it or they didn't like the way it went down. But we had Tom Haberstroh on the post game as always. And he had the most interesting story where Michael and I were kind of like laughing because he goes, "Well, just to let you know, a lot of people like think that Bam shouldn't have been in the game at that point. They're winning, whatever. Like it was a forced 83." He's like, "But Eric Spoelstra after the game said he had the box score of the 100-point game in his house since he was a kid forever, and it meant a lot to him. And then he's like, wait a second. I don't have it anymore because my house burned down. So this was an important moment for him." I was like, "Wait, what?" It was crazy. I was like, "Tom, what?" He's like, "Well, that's what he said. That's what he said."
Now I can decorate my house with a different box score since it's burned down. Boy, that's. I mean, like that. That also feels like a very like Oregonian thing to say. So shout out to Eric Spoelstra, one of our state's finest products, for being like, "Yeah, so no, sure, my house burned down, but now Bam got 83, so I can replace that box score with that box score. That makes perfect sense."
Michael and I were dying. I mean, not dying laughing, but we were like, okay. But yeah, I haven't watched. Obviously, we didn't watch the game because we were working, and I don't have a strong opinion either way about it. I think 83 is pretty impressive. I will say that you'd be proud of me. I'm not a math person, but on the show live, I figured out that, well, they said Bam got to the line 43 times, and I did the math, and both Blazers and Hornets total got to the line 43 times.
There you go. Yeah, that is good off the cuff math, Brooke. I am proud of you for that. A couple of things there too. Yeah, Tom has a post today, or at least he was on a podcast today, saying that Bam's 83 should come with an asterisk. So he had opportunity to think about it more and decided that it should have come with an asterisk. I was curious, did Dame talk about his 71-point game at all? Because Dame's 71-point game, I think, endures as a completely non-asterisk 71 points. Like he could have scored more points in that game if he had tried. And I thought that someone made a great point. I think it was Danny Meringue that was like, yeah, after that game, the first thing Dame talked about were the shots that he missed that he should have made in that game. And yeah, I think he could have got 85 that night if he had really tried. So I was curious if Dame addressed his highest scoring game during the broadcast, Brooke.
He did. And he said he wished he would have stayed in and just gone for it. He's like, now I look back, I'm like, I should have gone for, I could have gotten 20 more. He's like, I should have just gone for it. Now I could have beaten, Bam. Like he was just talking about like, he could have had so many more. And if he could go back, he's like, now that I'm older and I'm like, who cares? I would have just gone for it. And like back then he's like, I didn't want to seem like I was pushing it. I didn't seem like I was forcing it. because, at that age, it's just like, I was, trying to be, I don't think you use the word proud, but like something like I didn't want to look like I was going, like really reaching for. He's like, man, now that I know what was going on in this world, I go back and I go for 100. I was like, yeah, do that. Because I heard something on the radio today. Like someone did an article about how if you get like 80 points or more in a game, like it's going to be unethical. Like there are going to be, you don't just get 80 points in a game. Like, then they were talking about how, like in the Kobe game, like they were just like letting them score so that Kobe could go down and score and all this stuff. So we could argue about it forever. I just choose to say congratulations, Bam, for 83. Again, not seeing the game, but I understand all the points, but it's a feat for a 32 average point player to go and get 83. Like that's wild. That is wild.
Yeah. If either, like, no matter where you come down on it, the fact of the matter is it is incredibly difficult to score 83 points. And if it was something you could just do by kind of grifting and unethical hoops, as the quote goes, the guys would be doing it all the time, and they're not doing it all the time because you have to like play incredibly well to even get to a point where you can start talking, or at least kind of start changing up your game a little bit in order to reach those pinnacles. So and about Dame too, like that's always been the thing about Dame's career, is that he's always been about like, I'm going to make the right play. And if the right play is me passing it off to somebody else, I'm going to do that. And I think as he's gotten older, I think he's also realized that like sometimes the right play is just me probably breaking it off and doing it. But, when you're younger, it's always like, the right play is always like sharing the ball. And 80% of the time that's true. 20% of the time, no, it's like you're the best player on the team. Sometimes you gotta take it on your own. So hopefully next season, maybe a chance for Damian Lillard to do that, though. Just getting Dame back out there. It sounds like he's talking about he's back to kind of the workouts that he would typically do if he was playing and healthy. So I think at this point, not expecting to see Dame play this year, but I think the expectation is he will be 100% ready to go when this thing starts next season, whenever that is. So
I got to add one thing to
please.
One thing I said last night. It was so funny. So I interviewed Jalen Milroy, the backup quarterback for the Seahawks. Such a lovely young man, by the way.
Seems like a very nice guy. Yeah.
He was so nice. And I asked him because he's a big basketball guy. And so I asked him who his favorite player was. He said Dame. And so they came to me towards the end of the third quarter. And I said, well, I was going to talk to Dame about, the rally that was thrown for him and like what he wants to tell the fans. But I wanted to start off with telling him that. So I said, Dame, before real fast, I got to tell you that I interviewed Jalen Milroy, and he said, I asked him his favorite player, and he said you. And he like kind of like sat up a little bit. He's like, is he here today? And I'm like, yeah, he's here today. He goes, oh man, I just traded him.
on his fantasy team. Yeah. Well, and Dame's a big Raider guy too. I don't know who the quarterback of the Raiders is these days, but I'm guessing Milroy probably wouldn't be a bad option. So shout out to the Seahawks.
Maybe it was a like positive thing. Well, then I said, I promise I won't tell him. But it was so funny because, like, as I mentioned, just like he's so smooth, like he just like says it like, oh man, I just traded that guy. It's just hilarious.
He's here. Like I don't want to see him now. He'll know.
I can't look him in the eye.
Yeah. Well, and shout out to Dame too for opening up a new high-end sports bar. Honorable mention. There's a little bit of a free promo for you, Dame. I was not able to head out to the media session. Unfortunately, I wanted to go, but just couldn't make it happen. But check it out. I believe it's at the Benson Hotel, if I'm not mistaken. It looks awesome. JR is part of that too. JR, great guy we've known for years and years and years. And I believe David Lucas is involved as well. So yeah, a great group of guys there. So head on out to honorable mention next time you want to watch some sports, get some good food, and probably watch some Blazer games.
I couldn't go either, but it looked awesome. It's really pretty. It's like, I'm not surprised. Their other place is really nice too. They do good work. So yeah, we'll get there. So maybe this summer we'll go watch a WNBA game there.
Absolutely. That'd be fantastic. Hopefully they were able to get their labor thing sussed out, an all-night bargaining session as the news mentioned yesterday. Hopefully they're already up against whatever that deadline was, but those deadlines you can move them around a little bit. Hopefully they're able to get something figured out there. Speaking of deadlines, before we wrap up here on this edition of the Blazers Balcony, just wanted to read off real fast the statement from Dwayne Hankins about Senate Bill 1501 passing on the floor of the Oregon State House. That is the bill to allow the Moda Center to qualify for some tax funds, jock tax funds, in order to rehabilitate the building. Dwayne says, "This is a great day for the community. Thanks to Speaker Fahey, Majority Leader Bowen, Representative Nose, and all the members of the Oregon House who passed Senate Bill 1501. Thank you to Governor Kotek, who has championed Oregon's arena from the very start. And thank you to every Oregonian who weighed in throughout the legislative process with stories about what Moda Center and the Blazers mean to them. Rip City truly runs deep. This is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to renovate Moda Center and catalyze economic growth in the heart of the vibrant Lower Albina neighborhood. Working with local leaders, we're ready to get started on the next chapter for this franchise." So very good news there. I believe all that has to happen now is for Governor Kotek to sign the bill, which I believe is pretty much perfunctory at this point. So very good news, and really glad to see they're able to get that thing to the finish line and get some upgrades for Moda Center, which is still in pretty good shape. But as Brooke and I both travel to every single NBA arena, and it could use a bit of updating. So really good news there. And, I think one of those things where I'm glad that as someone who pays those jock taxes other places, I'm glad my money's going to that. So good news there all the way around, Brooke.
All the way. Yeah, we had Dwayne Hankins on the pregame show last night. He was awesome, as always. And I already told Casey this story, but everything he said was exciting because it's all about improvements and making, Moda Center just bringing it up a notch and making the fan experience better, the feel of it all. But at the end of the interview, I said to him, I'm like, of all the things you said, the thing that impressed me the most is you literally named 9 representatives in a row. If I was people have 9 or 10 kids, what are your kids' names? They're always like, oh gosh, he named every representative that's working on this. I was like, that was incredible. He's like, well, we spent a lot of time together. I was like, yeah, that's great. But it was incredible. If you have a chance to go watch that interview, you'll be amazed. It was it stood out to me. I think I was looking at him wow, how'd you do that? Because I'm bad with names, and he knew everyone. It was easy. It's just no, he didn't have a piece of paper, nothing, just bam, 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 bam. But very exciting. It's great news for the city, great news for the fans and the organization. I'm pumped about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully getting those upgrades installed, or at least partially installed, in time for the women's Final Four that the Moda Center will be hosting here in a couple of years. So really good news there all the way around. Shout out to everyone for all their work on that. Shout out to the fans and the community support for that as well. One of those things too, where there's very few things in Oregon and Portland politics that everyone seems to generally agree on. Usually there's some friction here and there, which you understand. It's a big state and there's lots of people. Every single time it was everyone's on board with this. It seemed to me obviously there's always a little concern, I think, but for me, it was look, from the state to the county to the city, everyone has stated very plainly that they want to get this done. And so when that happens, which is again in Oregon and in Portland, I feel is pretty uncommon. That's a good thing. And I think just obviously speaks to the importance of the Trailblazers and Moda Center in this community as well, because it is a huge meeting place. Obviously the Trailblazers are an incredibly important piece of this community, as is the building itself. It hosts a lot of great events, as we talked about. So really glad to see that happen. And shout out to everyone that was involved in that. I was not involved in that, probably because I would have screwed it up. So I was glad that I didn't have to mess up.
I was actually very involved in it.
I bet you were, actually.
No, just kidding.
Yeah. Well, that's enough for this edition of the Blazers Balcony. Thank you so much for joining us, as always. We'll be back next week from the road somewhere. I won't even guess where we're going to plunk down. Maybe your old stomping grounds in Indianapolis, Brooke. We're at a new hotel in Indianapolis, too, or at least a hotel I've never stayed at in Indianapolis. Not that the fans care too much, but we've stayed at... Well, I've stayed at that Conrad every single time I've ever been to Indianapolis. There's another hotel there now. I don't know if I should say the name, but yeah, we're staying there this time. Yeah,
I was not made aware of that. Okay,
so so a new hotel, which the old hotel was attached to a mall, and that mall has just steadily, like a lot of malls do these days, has kind of fallen off. So be interesting to see a new one, and yeah, maybe we'll get some Kilroys, have some pepperoni breadsticks, and record a podcast,
and maybe some shrimp. some really hot, well, not hot shrimp cocktail with really hot horseradish.
I have never been to St. Elmo's. Maybe this will be the year I will go to St. Elmo's.
Oh my
and I've never even been to like the separate one that's cheaper even. Like
Izzy and Harry's.
Yeah.
Harry and Izzy. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna maybe make it a reservation then, because this is it's time to knock some stuff off the list, Brooke.
All right, well, let's do it.
Let's do it. Well, thank you so much for joining us. As always, we'll talk to you soon. I'm Casey Holdahl. She's Brooke Olzendam. Thank you to the folks at Spirit Mountain Casino for all your support. Brooke.
Peace out.